What's the good word, y'all? DKB here. Glad to get back to you guys. Wasn't feeling so hot the last few days, but we're back at it. And I wanted to dive into the coaching staff a little bit. We got some breaking news. A day ago, our wide receiver coach, Miles Austin, he's been suspended. It's technically an indefinite ban at the moment. It seems like sources think he'll be suspended for at least a year, which is a pretty long time. The only thing we even really have in recent memory to compare it to is the Calvin Ridley situation, former wide receiver for the Falcons. But it's a world of difference. So for one, Calvin Ridley, active player in the NFL, he was betting on actual NFL games in season, which is an absolute no according to policy. And then with Miles Austin, his situation is a little bit different. So for one, he is a player coach, right? So he's coming from the realm of playing or, mentally wise, being a player for a long time. And he's still acclimating into the ranks of being an actual coach, only really diving into things since 2019. So it's not a long time, probably long enough for you to feel like he transitions over. But irregardless, people aren't looking at the not the playbook, but they aren't necessarily looking at the policy and the rule books, day by day. I would even probably say yearly outside of a couple updates. And I can't even remember who tweeted it, but somebody mentioned they can see where the confusion would be, because from the player side of the rule books, they can bet on any other type of games, table games, hockey, MLB, soccer, etc. Once you get into the coaching staff ranks or just any kind of personnel period, you can no longer bet on anything. Table games, poker, craps, NFL, NBA, MLB, soccer, all of it is off limits. So maybe that's where some of the confusion went in. It also seems like it may help that Miles Austin has been collaborative in part of the NFL investigation into the issue, but it seems like they've kind of been tracking onto him for a while, and it's almost like an FBI kind of case where once they, capture you doing it once, they want to make sure that they can build a 100% solid case. So obviously this has been going on for some time. And as I mentioned, he's still fairly new to this. Offensive quality control coach for the 49ers back in 2019, which is where him and Robert Saleh have their overlap. And then he ended up being promoted as part of Robert Saleh's New York Jets coaching staff to the wide receiver position coach, which all in all has had ups and downs. I think a lot of us have kind of bought into the fact that things have gone better this season from the wide receiver position, and it's been more so quarterback play, excuse me, that has kind of been a downfall. But whether that's true or not, there's definitely not been as much of a wow factor from the wide receiver position this year as compared to last year, which is a little bit concerning considering there's been a little bit more of an influx of a talent. And then, of course, heading into year 2 of the same exact system. But we're talking, one of the stats that kind of stuck out to me as I was deep diving into things, of our receiving touchdowns last year, which would be the first year in the system, 14 of the 20 touchdowns receiving were by wide receivers, which is a pretty strong mark considering it was Zach Wilson's rookie year and the wide receiver cast that we were rolling out, which had Corey Davis, Keelan Cole, Elijah Moore, which was a rookie, Braxton Berrios, and then we had guys like Jeff Smith and Tariq Black and that were essentially subbing in frequently enough towards the end of the year. This season, only 7 of our 15 receiving touchdowns have come from the wide receivers. We have our all-star in Garrett Wilson, who's 4 yards shy of matching the 1,000-yard total for the season, which you ideally imagine he's going to eclipse next week. But outside of that, a lot of people have taken a step back. The only person statistically has done a little bit better has been Denzel Mims, and that's just because he's been afforded more opportunities within the games. But other than that, Corey Davis has taken a step back. Braxton Berrios has taken a significant step back. Elijah Moore has taken a step back, although we have to include his healthy scratches for the behavioral issues that came up. But again, you can make the you can make a strong argument that a lot of this was based on Zach Wilson's play. We've seen how much more prolific the offense has looked now behind 37-year-old Joe Flacco, behind the up-and-coming Mike White. No matter how you feel about him, he's definitely led one of the strongest New York Jets offenses in recent memory. And now the journeyman Canadian Football League quarterback in Chris Streveler. So it's kind of an indictment against Zach Wilson, if anything else. I'd imagine that these numbers will look a lot stronger if any of those other three quarterbacks are playing long term. But it kind of is what it is. All in all, I think I'm definitely impressed with the job the coach has been able to do with the room. We're still talking about a sophomore year Elijah Moore, a rookie Garrett Wilson, Corey Davis, who seems to get consistently injured. And then at that point, we're talking about Braxton Berrios, who really should kind of be an emergency break glass option, among others. So, Jeff Smith may be the most disappointing in my eyes just because there was so much hype about what happened during the early portions of camp and training camp practice and OTAs and all those kind of things. But he's made some when the plays have been available, he's made them. So it is what it is. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are. It's interesting that this isn't the first issue that's going to come up with the coaching staff. I dropped the video way back in the beginning parts of the season. Offensive line coach John Benton is also going to be dealing with some kind of suspension, most likely due to his DUI case. So pay attention somewhere up there on the screen. I'm sure I'll drop in the link for you guys. But yeah, we have potentially two coaches. And by the way, Miles Austin is appealing his. I'm not sure how likely it is he's going to win it. It seems like the argument there is probably going to be ignorance. He didn't know the rule change between being a coach versus a player. But irregardless, two significant enough pieces on our coaching staff may be facing some kind of ban for, and I think in John Benton's case, we said somewhere between, I don't remember if it was 6 weeks or 6 months. But either way, a significant enough amount of time for two positions that definitely need to have a focused energy on them. So again, let me know what your guys' thoughts are on the Miles Austin situation, and I'll catch you again. Peace.